miserable son of a So the two things I certainly cannot digest is violence towards animals and violence towards children. I really didn't want to cover this one, but things like this happen. So the question would be why? And I don't know, some kind of logical answer would be probably because there are too many holes in law systems, not just in the United States, but pretty much everywhere. And that exact holes allowed, I don't really want to use their real names, so I would just refer them to piece of shit 1 and piece of shit 2, because they deserved nothing less. So I'm just gonna use POS 1, POS 2. So POS 1 and POS 2 are a gay couple, right? And they decided to adopt children. So obviously they cannot have children in most normal, natural way. So they unfortunately decided to adopt. Now they adopted 2 boys, and I don't know what their names actually are because I didn't manage to find that information, but I guess that is kind of a good thing, right? Because they're gonna be better protected if that kind of information is out of the public sight. Now, on the outside, they seemed like a perfectly normal family. Everybody, were happy. They were taking family trips. They were going on holidays together. They were, posting numerous photos on Instagram and social media, how they have a lot of fun. But in reality, POS 1 and POS 2 did some very, very, I cannot stress enough how messed up and disturbing things with these 2 children. Behind closed doors, they were violating these kids, and they did that on pretty much daily basis. Now that wasn't good enough, so they decided to, record the process, which is even more sickening. And on top of that, they decided to, send the actual footage while they were doing that to some other local good guys like them. And those guys were Luis Armando Vizcarro Sanchez, and the other guy was Hunter Clay Lawless. So I'm gonna put the images for you guys to see, but I assure you, just by looking at these faces, you can immediately notice that something is not right. Like I said in one of my previous videos, you can just spot on when somebody looks, out of the ordinary. So, like something is wrong with that person. You can just see it at the first sight, and that is definitely the case with those 2 guys. I mean, just look at his nasty, ugly heads. So these 2 guys apparently weren't involved in this whole sick thing. Besides, they were, getting the image from POS number 1. I mean, that by default is sick enough, but we're going to, get to that part later. The main thing is that POS 1 and POS 2 decided to do all this sick stuff to their own adopted children, record everything, and decided to send the footage to somebody else. So that it baffles me really, because that is like the crucial evidence right there, and they decided to send the crucial evidence to another person. Now, if you thought that violating their own adopted children and sending that footage while they're doing that to another people was bad enough, they actually, offered those kids to some other sick minds like them. So basically, what they did was, if you want to join the party, the hopping train, you can come to our house and we will gladly, provide you with material. And material in this, case means the 2 boys. Now, how the hell anybody find out what they were doing? If I understood, somebody from task force who was in charge of tracking some illegal activities online spotted that some person was downloading some very, very explicit kind of content, and it turns out that this was their homemade footage of them violating their children, right? And thanks to that video, they managed to identify these 6 scumbags and, later associate them with these other 2 pricks. So, like I said, very stupid kind of thing from their side, but thank God they're stupid. And POS1 actually regularly updated this other guy, Hunter Lawless, what's his name? I don't know, and I really don't care. He updated him regularly what he's gonna do. So he sent him, how should I call this, heads up messages. So in one of those messages he said, "I'm gonna F my son tonight, stand by. So be prepared to receive the files of me doing that." Man, Jesus Christ, I still cannot believe how sick this thing is, man. What's even worse? So the thing is that POS number 1 was actually investigated in 2011 on the charges of kidnapping and assaulting, sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy. So he lured the boy to his house, and he allegedly, but I don't think allegedly is actually needed here, violated the boy, and somehow the investigation was, taking the wrong turn, and this guy was freed. So he was even not, accused. He was just investigated a little bit, and yeah, that's it. You're innocent. You didn't do anything, and he was freed. So that leads me to the problem that, what the hell is happening with that investigating sector? That is number 1. And number 2 is, what the f*** was the person who was in charge of checking backgrounds and interviewing and investigating the possible parents in the adoption department? What the hell was this person doing, man? I mean, your job is to ensure that possible future parents are legit. So no stains or their names, they're clean, they're I don't know what, but your job is to make sure that they're 100% suitable to actually adopt a living thing. So what I would do, I would fire the person who was in charge of investigating for the assault, and I would fire the person who was in charge of, setting up the adoption papers and checking the backgrounds. Because who the hell would give 2 children to the guy who was accused of violating a little boy? And he's applying to adoption of 2 boys, man. What the f*** going on, man? I mean, I look like a crazy guy here, but it's like a totally normal thing to do. But yeah, that was just not the case. And this is why I said there are many loopholes, many holes in law systems which, allow this to happen. Now, here's another thing. These people, these POSs, have a lot of money. So POS1 is some kind of banker, I don't know, and the second guy, POS2, is involved in some kind of government sector, something. He's like a serviceman or something. I don't know, I don't care, man. But I'm not surprised that he has something to do with government. And allegedly they had connections to push that adoption much faster. They were living in some kind of very expensive neighborhood, and their house was worth, I don't know, approximately close to $1 million. So they were having like $7,500 per week combined. So that is a lot of money, and it makes you wonder what kind of strings they pulled to actually get these kids. Again, there's the problem, man. There's the problem. Nobody cares about anything except for money, man, and it's a disgusting fact by itself. And one more like sickening fact is that these two boys were taken from abusive parents, which were also drug addicts. So I think it was heroin or something. So can you just imagine how unlucky these two boys are? I mean, taken from the drug addicts and straight into the hands of hardcore pedophiles. I mean, it's so sad and heartbreaking. Like, they didn't even have one proper chance in life, and sadly their lives were probably, ruined forever. I hope they somehow can forget about this whole thing and move on when they grow up. But I mean, at this young age they already had experienced two very bad things, and from 4 different people. So I really don't know what to think, but I just hope for their sake they will be somehow able to find some miracle, something, and grow up in normal people. And that is actually it for the case itself. But this wouldn't be Casual Detective channel if I didn't have my own comment, right? So this is like only half through the whole video. So they are obviously in jail, right? So they all are arrested, POS1 and POS2, and these 2 other miserable pricks who were enjoying watching the footage they received from these idiots. And actually, funny thing is that POS1, took complaints that he thinks he's being poisoned in prison. Like some inmates are putting some kind of poison in his drinks, and he got really like paranoid, and he wants to get out. He wants to get transferred to another cell, to another block, to another prison. I don't know what. But if that is the case, and I obviously know the thing that is, let's say, worldwide famous, and that is the fact that other inmates actually do not like whatsoever the people who are associated with some crimes that involve children. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is actually the case. So I'm gonna go with, all right, just keep going, just keep doing what you do, referring to the other inmates. And the funny thing about POS2 is that he actually he's like located in a little better facility, right? And he complained about food service. Just can we just stop here and imagine that brain, man? He's accused, so there's like evidence that he violated 2 small children. So he's a classified pedophile. He's in prison for his nasty, disgusting crimes. And he's complaining about food service, man. He's complaining like this is the kind of food that even dogs would not eat. You see, I don't have any comment here. I don't have any comment because I don't know what should I say. This is like the ultimate proof that this is twisted, like personality, insane, psychotic. I don't have the proper description now, man, because Jesus Christ. And one more important thing is that they decided, I mean the guys who were in charge, they decided that when the testifying comes, they actually are going to be able to testify against each other, because like there's a rule when you are married, you can testify against your spouse, I think. But I'm interested actually in hearing what POS 1 and POS 2 have to say, because I generally think so. I don't think, I'm sure that one is going to put all the blame on another, and this guy is going to transfer all the blame to this guy. I'm convinced, because this kind of people, correction, not people, things, only care about themselves. They're like narcissists. They're like all the worst things in this world, and nobody actually matters except for themselves. So one more thing I wanted to comment is that I decided to check if one of them is on some kind of social media, and it turns out that POS 1, who was more active, was actually on there. And I decided to scroll through his profile and find out, like investigate his whole disturbed and messed up life through the images, and like gather the wider picture of what was going on there. So I would like to briefly comment a bunch of photos I found on his profile. So here we go. So I would like to start with this one. Why this one? Because it gives me like the most satisfaction. And if you look at the tag underneath his name, it actually says Supreme Court of the United States. And this is like the best background that these two pricks can have, because this is like all they deserve. So yeah, this is like their wedding, and I guess this is the start of their planning to commit some really disgusting things together. Like the normal people have like their wedding was the word vows, and these guys had their text written, we're going to adopt and molest children. So yeah, it's pretty disgusting photo, so to say. Not much to see here. I mean, look at his head, man. Look at this ugly head. It just gives you the vibe, I'm creep. So I'm a big creep kind of thing. And I don't know why, man, but every single photo I find of these disturbed imbeciles remind me of Alexander Barter. I don't know, do they like all have some kind of similar face lines or something? I don't know, man, but it creeps me the fuck out. Here he is with his two sisters, man, and I only can imagine what the hell were these people thinking when they found out that their brother is like this sadistic, sick, disturbed, twisted individual, and all the things he did while he presented himself as like some kind of I'm an older brother, I'm gonna defend you, I'm gonna take care of you kind of shit. Jesus Christ, man, I was like hoping that he doesn't have any kind of pets, but it turns out that he had a dog and he had a bunch of cats. I mean, because they live together, they had a bunch of cats and one dog. Now I'm going to display the image of their dog, and as you guys can see here in the description, this was posted on October 4th 2022, and sadly this dog passed away. But the thing is that this might be like a horrible thing to say, but I'm actually relieved and thanked that this dog passed away, because I cannot imagine what kind of sick shit he witnessed over the years in their house. And I'm just even scared to think that they did something with their animals as well, because by this point, it is really not like excluded possibility. I mean, look at a cat one more time. Let's get back to the photo with the cat. This cat generally looks like she saw a whole bunch of very disturbed things, and I'm just getting, you know, like sleazy vibes when I see this photo. I'm just like, put the f***ing cat down, man. Don't touch the cat. Get away from the cat. Once again, I can digest a lot, but violence toward children and violence toward animals, I cannot in this life and in any other. Now look at this photo. This is him, POS 1, with a shirt that says "so cool" like that. And this is actually the same the shirt he bought the same day when they adopted these kids. And if you look at the tags underneath, it says like adoption shower, adoption gifts, t-shirt, dad, blah 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 blah. And I'm just sick of seeing this photo. I feel sick because I know what they did, man. I know what they did, and just look at his ugly head here. He looks so happy because he knows that in the upcoming years he will do some really nasty stuff to his own kids, man. We're not even talking about some random kids. He adopted kids with only one goal. I mean, how sick that actually is, man. And one more thing is that they actually applied to another adoption. They wanted to adopt a small girl as well. Thank God. I mean, I have to do this. Thank God they like didn't pull through, because I can only imagine what kind of like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to imagine. I really don't want to imagine. Let's just move on. I really am grateful that I don't have any kind of footage, any kind of, you know, images that I would like put in here, because I really wouldn't have any desire to do that. So you guys know what happened. Unfortunately, you guys know what the outcome is, and all that remains now is that we wait and hope that this POS 1 and POS 2 would be like sentenced to max, like life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, because these two miserable scumbags don't deserve to see the light of day ever again. And that's it. Ever again, man. Ever. And I truly hope, fingers crossed, that that would be the case for once. I mean, if they already made a critical mistake once, they should like say, we're not going to repeat the same mistake twice. Stay there until you are done. And that's it.